So we have these strict rules on what order to evaluate expressions in. Namely, the rules say we evaluate exponents first, then multiplication and division from left to right, then addition and subtraction from left to right. But sometimes that isn't actually what we want. Sometimes in solving a problem, we want to add two numbers together before we do division. For example, what if Jim has 3 sons and 4 daughters, and he wants to share 28 chocolates evenly between them? Well, he adds up his children, right? 3 children who are sons plus 4 children who are daughters is 7 children. And then he takes 28 chocolates divided by 7 children is 4 chocolates per child. In order to answer his question, Jim needs to do addition first and then division. That's where what are called grouping symbols come in. In writing expressions, we use grouping symbols if we want to disobey the usual order. Then in evaluating expressions, we perform any operations that appear inside grouping symbols. We do those first. Why? Because the symbol tells us, hey, ignore the usual order. Do this first. Okay, so what are grouping symbols? One option is to just enclose whatever operation we want to do first in some sort of brackets. We prefer parentheses. So those are the round ones there on your keyboard next to the 9 and the 10. Sometimes if we have grouping symbols inside grouping symbols inside grouping symbols, we also use other kinds of brackets. We might use square brackets. We might use curly brackets. But the only reason we use those is if we have lots and lots of parentheses and we want to make it easy to see the difference. It is totally okay to only ever use parentheses. Be aware that you might see square brackets or curly brackets. In this context, they just mean exactly the same thing as parentheses. So, one way we could write Jim's problem is by writing 28 divided by 3 plus 4 in parentheses. That tells us add together 3 and 4 first, then divide 28 by whatever you get. There's another grouping symbol that's specifically relevant to division. If we write division using a fraction bar, so for example, if we write Jim's problem as 28 over 3 plus 4, everything in the numerator is grouped together, and everything in the denominator is grouped together. We should think of this fraction bar as having invisible parentheses. So the grouping symbols that we have available right now are the parentheses and their friends the brackets, and also the fraction bar used to write division. When we see a grouping symbol, we disobey the usual order of operations, and we work out whatever's written inside the grouping symbol first.